Greetings from ABC Acres. I'm Grant Shadden, and I'm here next to a couple of our pin cherry trees from the previous video about planting 2 trees in 1 hole. And I talked about where we did that to get the growth up in this kind of simulated forest opening event, to get that growth up and then choose one to cut out. And we did that on a couple of them, but then we started noticing that some of the leaves were yellowing out on our trees along this run. And that's what I want to talk about today, monitoring your trees, just like you would a pasture if you're rotationally grazing your animals, to make sure you're ensuring performance. And I also want to bring up this idea of sectors that we talk about in permaculture design. And a sector is any kind of energy flow or pathway, anything that comes from outside of your property into it and through it. And that can be wind, sunlight. If you have sloped land, rainfall and runoff. It can be wildlife. There's a number of things that can be sectors on your property that you want to design for. And this clickety-clack you're hearing of the neighbor's irrigation wheel line has become a sector that we're having to deal with. Now, leaves on trees can yellow out for a number of reasons. But when we noticed that the leaves were yellowing out, we looked under our mulch and saw that the soil was soaking wet. Now, we have our own drip irrigation system where we were watering, and then we were getting the overspray from the neighbor's irrigation line. So we cut off our irrigation and we have got them bouncing back some. It's also the reason why we haven't gone to cutting out the remainder of our cherry trees or oak trees, because in case one of them doesn't make it, we don't want to lose both if we're not able to deal with this neighboring irrigation sector. So we've continued to do this monitoring and will continue to do so throughout the irrigation season to make sure that we get these trees to be as healthy as they can be given the conditions. We're not real happy that they're getting this overhead spray as opposed to the ground level drip, but we've talked to the neighbor and he's producing hay. He's got to do what he needs to do to make a living, and so we're just trying to make the best of it as we can. We're also going to go take a look at one of our oak tree plantings just neighboring this pin cherry to show one of the practical reasons why we plant 2 trees in 1 hole. All right, as you can see, we have our oak tree here, and the other one that we planted next to it has died, and that's one of those reasons that I mentioned in that previous video for planting 2 trees in 1 hole. Not only that stimulated growth phase that you get from the competition for a time period, but also as a level of insurance in case one of them doesn't make it. You're not out that year or two's growth. And so I just pull that out real easily, and that tells me we've got where right there at the root crown it's been chewed through, that we have some vole activity. So that may be something that we want to have to try and address. Once again, this monitoring is very important. So now we know that there's voles in the vicinity of these root zones, and so we'll look to intervene to try and protect this tree even more so. I also noticed that this tree, for whatever reason, didn't have one of the tree guards at the base, and this one does, which tells me that the vole saw this as easy pickings and that our tree guard, at least so far for this oak, is working. Once again, this monitoring, continually observing and interacting with your property and all the elements and assets that you've put into it is going to ensure that you continue to get production, that you don't get these unnecessary setbacks, and it'll keep you connected to the rhythms of everything you have going on, not only on your property, but also those sectors of these energies and these elements coming into your property as well. Well, if you have any questions about this video, just leave them in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.